Frank Sinatra and Ray Sinatra. Frank Sinatra's rise to stardom in the 1940s overshadowed a lesser-known but influential figure in his own family, his cousin Ray Sinatra. A conductor and arranger born in Sicily in 1904, Ray immigrated to the United States as a child and built a solid career in music well before Frank became a household name. By the early 1930s, Ray was working as a conductor for various NBC radio programs, earning a reputation in professional circles for his orchestral direction. Some biographers, including James Kaplan in Frank the Voice, suggest that Ray may have played a subtle yet pivotal role in Frank's early career, possibly helping him secure initial radio exposure. Though the extent of his involvement remains debated, the theory has persisted in fan circles and music history forums. As Frank's fame exploded, especially during the Rat Pack era, Ray remained behind the curtain, conducting for talents like Mario Lanza and Dinah Shore. Despite his credentials, he was frequently referred to as Frank's cousin, a label that reportedly frustrated him. Industry insiders at the time noted the imbalance in the recognition, hinting at unspoken tension beneath the surface. Frank, known for fiercely guarding his public image, often emphasized that his success came from grit and determination. In several interviews, he distanced himself from claims of favoritism, once stating that everything he had, he earned the hard way, a sentiment echoed throughout his career, though not tied to any specific family reference. Historians suggest the cousins may have grown apart, yet their shared bloodline paints a picture of a family legacy embedded deep in American music, one in which only one name lit up marquees, while the other conducted discreetly from the wings. Loretta and Polly Ann Young. Loretta Young and Polly Ann Young were more than sisters. They formed part of a tightly knit Hollywood family navigating fame under a microscope. Loretta became a household name in the Golden Age, earning an Academy Award for Best Actress in 1947 for her role in The Farmer's Daughter. Polly Ann, by contrast, maintained a lower profile, appearing in supporting roles throughout the 1930s before retiring from film in the early 1940s. But privately, the sisters shared more than just screen credits. In 1935, Loretta vanished from the public eye for several months. Officially, she was recovering from exhaustion. Unofficially, she was concealing a pregnancy, allegedly the result of a brief relationship with Clark Gable during the filming of Call of the Wild. At the time, Gable was married, and Young's devout Catholicism and carefully curated image left little room for scandal. According to Judy Lewis's memoir, Uncommon Knowledge, Loretta gave birth in secret and later staged an adoption to bring the child, Judy, into her home. Judy would not learn the truth until 1966, at the age of 31. Certain reports even suggest Polly Ann played a key role in supporting Loretta during the pregnancy and helping preserve the adoption narrative. However, legitimate sources confirming her involvement remain limited. Still, rumors persist that her early retirement from acting may have been influenced by the emotional toll of the situation. The Young sisters were part of a larger Hollywood clan. Their half-sister, Georgiana Young, briefly acted before marrying actor Ricardo Montalban in 1944. As for Loretta, she never publicly confirmed Clark Gable's paternity. However, some historians maintain she privately acknowledged it to Judy shortly before her death in 2000. Others note she only hinted at it, never speaking the truth aloud. The story of Loretta and Polly Ann is more than a family footnote. It's a revealing glimpse into the private sacrifices and quiet alliances that shaped careers in an era when one misstep could end everything. Fame was fleeting, but loyalty lasted decades. Walter Huston and John Huston. In 1949, a father-son duo made Oscar history, not just for winning, but for how they did it. Walter Huston, a veteran of stage and screen, earned Best Supporting Actor for his role in The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, a film released in 1948. The twist? It was written and directed by his son, John Huston, who also took home Oscars for Best Director and Best Screenplay. It was the first time in Academy Awards history that a parent and child both won for the same film. Walter had been a dominant figure in Hollywood during the 1930s and 40s, known for his roles in films like Dodsworth and Yankee Doodle Dandy. John, still early in his directing career, had already made waves with The Maltese Falcon. Their collaboration wasn't just familial, it was cinematic strategy. Film historian David Thompson noted that John's decision to cast his father wasn't about nepotism, but narrative. Walter brought an authenticity to the role of Howard that few actors could match. Though a few suspected the casting was a favor, others pointed to Walter's performance as proof of merit. Critics at the time praised his portrayal of the grizzled prospector as one of the film's emotional anchors. Whispers have long indicated that John Huston had written the part specifically for his father. In interviews, John did express that Walter was a natural fit, saying he couldn't imagine anyone else in the role, though the exact wording varies across accounts. Their Oscar wins weren't just a milestone. They helped launch Hollywood's first three-generation dynasty. John's daughter, Angelica Huston, would later win Best Supporting Actress in 1986 for Preezy's Honor, also directed by her father. The Hustons became the first family to claim Oscars across 3 generations, setting the stage for future dynasties like the Coppolas and Barrymores. Enthusiasts still debate whether Walter's win was influenced by sentiment or skill, but the Academy's decision to honor both Hustons in the same year sent a clear message. Talent might run in the blood, but it also shows up on screen. Tallulah Bankhead and William B. Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead and William B. Bankhead were not simply celebrities, they were closely related. While many assume their shared surname was coincidence or distant kinship, the truth is far more direct. William Brockman Bankhead, the powerful Speaker of the House from 1936 to 1940, was Tallulah's father. Their connection was an uncommon intersection between Southern political gravitas and Hollywood's rebellious allure during the Golden Age. William, a staunch New Deal Democrat from Alabama, was renowned for his eloquence and unwavering support of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Meanwhile, Tallulah carved her own path through Broadway and film with a husky voice, razor-sharp wit, and a reputation for defying every societal expectation of her time. Her breakthrough role in Lillian Hellman's The Little Foxes in 1939 cemented her as a powerhouse in American theater. Despite their contrasting public images, their relationship remained largely private. Verifiable details about William attending her performances are scarce, though some authors mention he quietly backed her career from a distance, even as her flamboyant persona dominated headlines. Legends suggest he wrestled with balancing his public duties against his daughter's boundary-pushing fame. Tallulah's now iconic quip, "I'm as pure as the driven slush," underscored her refusal to conform. Her father, in contrast, embodied the establishment she so often lampooned. Their coexistence on opposite ends of American culture only heightened the intrigue. One commanded the floor of Congress, the other commanded the stage. Together they turned the Bankhead name into a lasting emblem that bridged 2 remarkably different worlds. Katharine Hepburn and Katherine Houghton. In 1967, when Guess Who's Coming to Dinner hit theaters, audiences saw Katharine Hepburn take on the role of a mother grappling with social change. What slipped under the radar for many was that her on-screen daughter, played by Katherine Houghton, was her real-life niece. She was the daughter of Hepburn's younger sister, Marion, and historians theorize she may have been named after her famous aunt, as their bond was undeniable. At the time, it was unusual but not unheard of for family members to co-star in major studio films. Hepburn, already a 4-time Academy Award winner, was said to have used her clout to secure her niece's casting. Director Stanley Kramer is said to have welcomed the idea, believing their real-life connection would lend the film greater authenticity. The movie's release came just months after the Supreme Court's Loving v. Virginia decision in June 1967, which struck down bans on interracial marriage. That timing made the film both timely and polarizing. Critics were split. Some called it groundbreaking, others accused it of glossing over deeper racial tensions. Behind the scenes, Hepburn's mentorship apparently helped Houghton navigate her first major film role. Both women had been raised in a New England household steeped in liberal ideals and intellectual independence, which may have made them particularly suited to a film challenging mid-century norms. While Hepburn's legacy is cemented in cinematic history, her niece's contribution often flies under the radar. But their collaboration remains an uncommon example of 2 generations of a famous family shaping a cultural flashpoint from within that golden era. Lucille Ball and Suzan Ball. Lucille Ball and Suzan Ball shared more than just a last name. They were distant relatives, allegedly second cousins once removed. While Lucille was redefining television comedy with I Love Lucy in the early 1950s, Suzan was making her mark as a rising actress under contract at Universal Pictures. Born in 1934, Suzan landed roles in adventure films like East of Sumatra and War Arrow, both released in 1953. But her career was cut short that same year when she was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. She underwent a leg amputation and continued working briefly, marrying actor Richard Long in April of 1954. Suzan passed away on August 5, 1955, at just 21 years old. Despite their distant relation, gossip persists that Lucille quietly supported Suzan's family during her illness. Certain biographers claim the studio system may have minimized their connection to maintain Lucille's all-American image. Still, the overlap of their careers and the shared surname kept Hollywood buzzing. Whether coincidence or quiet kinship, their parallel paths remain a curious footnote in Golden Age history. Lionel Barrymore and Ethel Barrymore. Ethel Barrymore and Lionel Barrymore were not merely siblings. They served as the cornerstones of one of Hollywood's earliest dynasties. At a time when stage and screen were still defining their cultural power, the Barrymores were already shaping the narrative. Ethel, often hailed as the First Lady of the American Theater, starred in Emlyn Williams' Pulitzer Prize-winning play, The Corn is Green, in 1940, and later earned an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in 1944's None But the Lonely Heart. Her performances were celebrated for their intelligence and quiet authority, earning her a reputation that critics described as regal without being remote. Lionel Barrymore, meanwhile, made the leap from Broadway to Hollywood during the silent era and never looked back. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1931 for A Free Soul, and his portrayal of Mr. Potter in Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life remains one of cinema's most iconic villain roles. Despite struggling with chronic arthritis that eventually confined him to a wheelchair, he continued acting into the 1950s, refusing to let physical limitations slow his career. The two shared the stage in their early years, with some historians proposing there was a blend of admiration and artistic competition between them as their bond was unmistakable. Their younger brother John Barrymore, nicknamed the Great Profile for his matinee idol looks, was equally famous, though often for less flattering reasons. His battles with substance-related issues were widely publicized, and although certain accounts assert Ethel and Lionel quietly worked to shield his reputation, definitive evidence is sparse. What is clear is that the Barrymore name became synonymous with theatrical excellence, long before Drew Barrymore carried it into the modern era. George Sanders and Tom Conway. George Sanders and Tom Conway were not merely look-alike performers with British accents. They were siblings born 2 years apart who ended up portraying the same suave detective on screen. Sanders debuted as the Falcon in 1941's The Gay Falcon, but after 4 films he bowed out. RKO wasn't ready to end the franchise, so they cast his real-life brother Tom Conway in The Falcon's Brother in 1942. The film featured both siblings on screen, with Sanders' character dying to pass the torch. Critics noted Conway lacked Sanders' sharp edge, but audiences barely blinked at the switch. Away from the spotlight, their relationship was reportedly strained, though irrefutable proof of a true rivalry remains elusive. Some commentators note tension, fueled by Sanders' sardonic wit. He's often quoted as saying, "I am not a great actor, I am a great actor's brother," though the origin of the remark remains unverified. While Sanders moved on to prestigious roles in films like Rebecca and All About Eve, Conway became a fixture in B-movie horror, including Cat People and I Walked with a Zombie, both produced by Val Lewton. Contrary to certain claims, Sanders did not appear in Lewton's films. Conway's later years were marked by financial hardship and health challenges, with some sources indicating he depended on charitable support. Sanders, disillusioned with fame and aging, died by self-inflicted means in April of 1972. Conway had passed 5 years earlier in April of 1967. Their careers, once intertwined by blood and casting decisions, ultimately diverged, one brother ascending to Hollywood royalty, the other fading into obscurity. Bing Crosby and Bob Crosby. Bing Crosby and Bob Crosby shared more than just a last name. They were brothers, yet their careers followed remarkably different rhythms. Bing, born in 1903, became a cultural titan of the 20th century. With his smooth baritone and laid-back charisma, he redefined American pop music and film. His rendition of White Christmas, released in 1942, still holds the Guinness World Record as the best-selling single of all time. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor in 1945 for Going My Way, and dominated radio and film for decades. Meanwhile, Bob Crosby, born a decade later in 1913, steered clear of his brother's crooning path. He found his niche in Dixieland jazz, leading the Bobcats, a swing band that earned a loyal following in the late 1930s. His music leaned heavily into New Orleans traditions, standing apart from Bing's mainstream appeal. Despite their fame peaking around the same time, the brothers rarely performed together. A number of historians propose they intentionally kept their careers separate to avoid direct comparisons or whispers of nepotism, though neither brother officially verified it. Behind closed doors, however, Bing is said to have offered discreet support. According to biographer Gary Giddens, Bing used his industry clout to help Bob secure a radio bandleader role during the swing era's peak, a move that gave Bob crucial exposure. Bob later became a familiar face on television, hosting The Bob Crosby Show in the 1950s, and appearing regularly on the Jack Benny program. Speculation about sibling rivalry occasionally emerged, though no concrete evidence points to serious conflict. Their story remains an unusual scenario of two brothers navigating the entertainment industry's classic era on separate tracks, each successful, each distinct, and each leaving a lasting legacy. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.